Good afternoon, Packers fans. Aaron Negler here with your Packers Daily Chat, coming to you live on the Cheesehead TV social channels. It is Friday. We made it through another week, through the finale of the Green Bay Packers 2025 training camp schedule. On Thursday, the Packers welcomed in the Seattle Seahawks and promptly got to fighting. All I could think of was Matt LaFleur last year talking about how prior to last year's camp and the joint practice sessions, he recreated the scene from Peaky Blinders in the kitchen at the wedding. No fighting. No fighting. No fucking fighting. Apparently, I guess Matt didn't go that route this year because Zach Tom and company had another idea. I think people came out unscathed. I haven't seen any injuries reported from the fracas, but never like to see your starting right tackle, newly minted, firing off with his fists at opponents with helmets on. Zach, buddy, maybe holster it next time when you're using your fist against a helmet. But I understand it's the dog days of summer. These guys are tired of it, and they're just letting off steam for the most part. And it's pretty much expected that there are going to be some fisticuffs at some point. Things are going to boil over, and they finally did on the final day of camp. And look, I'm excited about the preseason game tomorrow. Going to be a lot of fun watching these guys battle to try and make essentially a handful of roster positions there at the bottom of the depth charts and the roster. It's always a interesting proposition when you get into the second half of a preseason game, the finale in preseason, where, it's starting to become a reality for some of these guys that this could be the end, the giving up of a dream that they've had for a very long time, and suddenly finding themselves out on the street possibly by Tuesday becomes a reality sooner rather than later. Clearly, the biggest news, I would say, coming out of yesterday, I know that fights got the headline, but the biggest news was the return of Xavier McKinney. Great to see Xavier out on the practice field, even doing just individual work. That obviously bodes well for his timeline to return and be ready for week one. Got a whole nother week before they even start their kind of week of practices for Detroit. So feeling very good about the fact that McKinney was out there running around doing drill work. The concern, of course, I would say coming out of training camp, the biggest concern is the status of Aaron Banks and his back issue. Missed a number of practices here down the stretch, and there's been no updating, no reporting. Obviously, there hasn't been a whole lot to talk to Matt about other than the fact that Banks has missed time. And interested to see, who goes tomorrow. I know there have been talk of some frontline starters going, possibly the starting offensive line, but I can't imagine they run Banks out there, even if he is better. Interested to see what that means as far as most likely Rasheed Walker getting the start at left tackle and probably Jordan Morgan sliding in there at left guard. But we'll see how that shakes out. Also, Elton Jenkins dropped out of yesterday's practice, and there hasn't been any update as to if something was ailing him or if that was maybe a coach's decision because he was involved in some of the fighting. There hasn't been any update. I've been looking kind of through all the beat guys and all the reports, and I haven't seen anything. So that's also something to watch for tomorrow, possibly getting some kind of designation on Elton. Hopefully he's fine and they're just sitting him for veteran rest or something. But certainly don't love where the interior of your offensive line is sitting heading into a final preseason game when you've had precious little time, these guys working together on the field in any meaningful way. It sucks, man. Each and every year, it's always about injuries and mitigating them and trying to figure out how to navigate those waters. But I would caution anyone getting too frustrated about the situation the Packers find themselves in, frustrating though it is. Just look around the league. I mean, we've got reports today about Minnesota Vikings possibly trading for Adam Thielen because they have no more wide receivers left. Sounds familiar, right? In Green Bay. Speaking of dealing with wide receiver injuries, the 49ers suddenly are down like 5 dudes at the wide receiver position. So it is that time of year. You come back and you start teeing it up and get these practices and preseason games, and guys get dinged up and teams have to deal with it. And it is going to be imperative that the Packers get as many of these guys back and healthy and ready to go when Detroit comes to town in 2 weeks. In 2 weeks! Crazy, right? We're here. We're finally here. Speaking of here and the return of the regular season and real football, also next week we'll have the return of Packer Transplants Live. That's right. Corey Banke and I will be back each and every Wednesday throughout the season, starting next week. It's going to be a lot of fun. Corey's always bringing his very interesting and unique perspective to the green and gold. I encourage you to subscribe if you haven't already and make sure you have notifications on so you know when we're live. Be part of the show. We always have a really fun interactive part there at the end of each and every Packer Transplants Live. Want you guys to participate. Please subscribe, hit notifications on, and join us each and every Wednesday throughout the season. It's going to be a good time. Always is. Going to be even more so this year. Hello to everybody in the comments section. So good to see everyone already mixing it up. What's up, everybody? Before I get going, I got to give a shout out to our good friends over at Ticket King. Based in Wisconsin since 1992, Ticket King is located across the street from Lambeau Field on Oneida. They're happy to help you find just the right tickets for Packers games, from larger groups to single tickets, both home and away. They partner with local Green Bay businesses for tailgating and bus transportation to the games, so you don't have to worry about driving or parking. They're even open on game day for last-minute tickets or possible upgrades. And if you're not in Green Bay, no problem. Just use the Ticket King link in the Cheesehead TV homepage or indeed in the description of this video. Don't use Ticketmaster, StubHub, SeatGeek, none of these national companies. Use a company based in Wisconsin since the early 90s. Ticket King, for all your Packers ticket needs. Do it, folks. Hell, go see him tomorrow if you're in the Green Bay area. I'm sure there are some excellent seats available to you via Ticket King. Use the link in this video. Do it, people. A bunch of people with super chats already. Menace, what's going on, man? Thanks so much. I read a comment today I cannot stop laughing about, and the more I think of it, the more it makes sense. Brett Favre was the Tom Brady of Jameis Winston's. That's not bad. That is not bad. I mean, there's certainly an amazing through line when it comes to being unafraid to put the ball wherever and whenever and however. And yeah, sometimes it's going to be put in harm's way, but every once in a while you get an amazing play at the same time. Yeah, that's pretty good. I don't discount that. E4, what's going on, man? Good thing about living in bear country is that whenever I'm a little short, I can run out and sell someone a bridge. Now, like I said the other day, let them have their illusions. This is their time of year. We step aside and we let them live in the spotlight because this is traditionally when they have it. And then football begins and they win 5 or 6 games. And by the time we're in November, they're talking about the draft. So don't let them have this one. It's all good. Joe, how are you, man? Thanks for the super chat. Pack was 16th in the NFL in using 12 personnel, but only 30th in how they passed 36% out of 12 personnel. Does an improved Musgrave change that? It's so funny because I think I've done 3 different videos throughout the course of this offseason, usually here on Packers Daily, regarding the concept of 12 using 2 tight end sets, etc., ace formation, however you want to, spell it out. We've heard Matt LaFleur talk about it. We've heard Adam Stenavich highlight that possibility and that idea so many times since these 2 guys were drafted. And obviously, the biggest component here has been Musgrave's inability to stay on the field. But Musgrave is certainly coming off his best summer in Green Bay. Even his rookie year when he shined and he looked the part and looked like he had a ton of promise and you saw what they liked in him. This summer was above and beyond. After a pretty pedestrian camp last year, he has looked like a bona fide weapon. And the idea, yes, of getting the 2 of them on the field together and utilizing them as pass catchers, as targets, as primary targets, because that's the other thing. It's one thing to have them out there, but you're still throwing a slant to Dobbs on the back end, or you're still, maybe running some kind of flood concept where Wicks is your read number 1 on the right side, and then maybe you come back to Musgrave on a backside seam or something like that, right? The question for me is this finally the time where they'll be living in their own kind of section on the call sheet week in and week out, where Musgrave and particularly Kraft are actually primary targets in the passing game rather than outlets, rather than, if things are covered downfield, well, then we're going to jettison out in the flat to Tucker Kraft and let him stiff arm and get some yards, etc., which is fine. I mean, it's been effective, certainly, but the hope, of course, is that you can utilize both of these guys and really put defensive coordinators in a bind as far as their personnel usage. Because if you're, going to try and counter with a couple of linebackers, I think Musgrave's got something for you, and if you want to go light and try and get more defensive backs on the field to mitigate their pass catching ability, well, all right, we're going to button it up. We're going to smash Josh Jacobs in your face. So that, to me, I love the idea. And theoretically, it makes all the sense in the world. But they've talked about it so much, but actually utilized it precious few times. Now, again, the biggest component has been Musgrave not being able to stay healthy. If he can stay healthy, the way he's played so far this summer, leading into this year, oh, baby, here's hoping, because I think they could really do some damage. I mean, it could potentially be, it could be very, very effective. I'm not going to make comparisons yet, but there's a ton of upside in getting these two on the field together. That there's zero doubt. What else we got here, folks? Cheeto, how you doing, man? Nags, super excited for my wife's 40th. We bought a trip to Packers versus Bears on December 7th. I will be admiring Corey's house from a non-creepy distance. Well, we appreciate all non-creepy admiration. That's great, dude. Enjoy. That's a classic rivalry. December in Lambeau. Come on, you can't beat that. That's going to be a ton of fun. I'm jealous because I'll just be here in my studio watching that game on television. But you guys are going to have a ball. Enjoy, man. That's great. Sandy, how are you? Thanks for the super chat. Nags, can't wait for 9-7 when we kick some lion ass. Hit the like, Pack family, and go Pack go. See, Sandy knows what's up. Getting ready to kick some lion ass and hit like on the video. I mean, what more do you need in life? There you go, Sandy. We're right here. Get everybody else here. Come on. I like it. Tiffany, how are you? Thanks for the super chat. This is another vote for Cheesehead TV polos. We will carry the G at work. I'm working on it. I love this idea. I love it with the helmet on and the polo shirt. I'm working on it. I can't promise anything expedited, but working on making it happen. Whiskey, I like where your head's at here. 12 personnel with 6'4" Christian Watson and Savion as the wide receivers should be fun. Some 5'10" DB is going to get wrecked. I mean, that is a great visage. The idea of, Watson and Savion blocking on the perimeter. Come on now. And then finally you run the ball, and then you get past one of those guys with their speed. Baby, let's go. I'm down with that. Oh, Grimpy, this is like, and I don't blame you for this because I know what you're referencing here. Is everything all right with Romeo Doubs' situation? Keep hearing he could be traded. That's because the internet is a hellscape that never should have existed, except for really fun relationship with your audience like we have here. Because outside of that, my God, man, the internet is horrible. I mean, it takes one person creating one image, some kind of, breaking news-esque, but not really breaking news looking image for people to suddenly run with a narrative that doesn't exist at all. To the point where Kay Adams asked Matt LaFleur about it yesterday. Romeo Doubs not going anywhere. Romeo Doubs is fine. He's going to catch a bunch of balls. He's going to convert first downs. He's going to score touchdowns. He's probably going to be Jordan Love's security blanket, much like he was last year and pretty much every year he's been in Green Bay. Man, people just get carried away with the idea of, the Packers should make moves or could make moves, and here are all the moves they could make and should make and blah, blah, blah. But none of it is based in reality. Romeo Doubs is fine. He's going to play and play well for the Green Bay Packers this year. Now, next year, he becomes a free agent. We'll see what happens. But just ignore all of that. Rob Kress, thanks for checking out the stream on Facebook. Nathan Poole appreciation. That is really random, but man, I dig it. I very much dig it. Handsome, thanks for the super chat. If everyone was 100% healthy right now, right, La La Land, position group you're most comfy/uncomfy with heading into the season. I trust your opinion with my life. Okay, well, slide back, relax. That feels dramatic. Most comfy and uncomfy. Like comfy, like cozy, comfy with a big blanket over me and a August evening or a deep fall evening, and the windows are open. There's a candle lit. Maybe I'm listening to some Bill Evans. Ooh, I like it. Comfy, very comfy. I'm probably most comfy if everyone's 100%, which is what you just said, right? 100% healthy. I'm pretty good and comfy with the wide receiver group. I know they're all banged up right now, but if they are all 100%, they're going to cause so many problems for people. I really like it. And I know a lot of people are still frustrated by last year, the drops and lack of production, etc. I'm telling you, man, they're going to rip it up this year. I'm excited. Most uncomfy, like I'm at the DMV and the air conditioning is off and I've been waiting for an hour and a half and there's still no sign that they even recognize that I exist and that I'm waiting. That kind of uncomfy. I want to say the interior of the offensive line or the deep reserves at cornerback. I think both of those spots have promise, and certainly there's untapped potential at both of those spots. But an injury or two along the interior of the offensive line could be a real problem. It will cause a whole bunch of juggling. And we saw last year in the playoff game how things really fell apart when they lost one guy. Yeah, I don't know that much has changed in that regard, unfortunately. And then you flip it on the cornerback group in particular. Man, Bo Melton's been way better than I thought he'd be, but he's still a converted wide receiver who is essentially your next man up if any of the top three guys get hurt. That's kind of crazy to me. But he's had a good camp. And certainly Kalen King has played well. He certainly looks like he's taking a jump from year one to year two. I keep talking about Micah Robinson. I think he's had a good camp. But, man, there's a lot of unknown there, a whole lot of unknown. And you're going to – and I talked about this 2 days ago. Like, you don't get through a season without having to play reserve corners. Like, it just happens each and every year. Guys get banged up, and you have this cascading effect that is really problematic and has been in Green Bay. It certainly was last year. So, yeah, that's – talk about uncomfy. Those are probably my two uncomfy spots. Joe, what's up? Tom floats like a butterfly, stings like a bee. I shudder to think. Go Pack Go. What's going on, man? Big choice, ladies and gentlemen. Down payment on a new car or a lavish trip to the one and only Green Bay, Wisconsin. Oh, what to do. Oh, I don't even think that's a question. What are you talking about? The car will be there forever. The moment that you go to Green Bay and enjoy a football game is a moment in time that you can never recapture. It will never happen again. It is a once-in-a-lifetime moment that you can seize. The car will always be there. You can put down payment on later. You'll be fine. Mike Witt, what's going on, man? Thanks for the super chat. Hi, Nags. Just imagine a world with Jordan Love and the Green Bay Packers winning the Super Bowl versus the Steelers and a certain former Packer quarterback. LOL. I mean, I can imagine that world. I'd love to live there. But at the moment, I'm really just concentrating on beating the Lions. That's where I'm at. Your mileage may vary. But, man, I can't live in another season where Dan Campbell comes into Lambeau Field and just whoops up on the Packers. We got to get that stench out of Lambeau. So I love the dream. Keep it up. But right now I'm living in a different world. Jeff Smith, what's going on, man? Don't forget the Eeyore room, please. There are a lot of Eeyores counting on you. Yes, Soder hit me up on Twitter today. Don't worry. Yes, Patreon members, Carry the G Club members, there will be a Zoom hangout for all of you Eeyores who have to be together and complain and piss and moan and talk about the Packers' lack of whatever live together all throughout the game. We will have the Eeyore chat ready for you tomorrow. So fear not, you can hang out with your fellow Eeyores all throughout the game. Jason, what's going on, man? Thanks for the super chat. I love the talk of more 12 usage. Is LaFleur embracing his Joe Gibbs? Josh Jacobs is good enough to go diesel mode for us. Ooh, I love that's a serious pull right there, dude. I absolutely love it. If they came out and ran counter Trey, could you imagine? Come on now. I mean, look, it's not like LaFleur was far off last year, and they ran the hell out of the ball, and they ran a ton of power, counter, things of that nature. So I don't think it would take much to get him into that mode, but, oh, that's a fun image. Steven, how are you doing, man? Thanks for the super chat. All in on Parsons trade. Look at what Mac trade did for Chicago in 2018, except we have a better roster and don't have Trubisky as our quarterback. Take a swing. Man, I feel it. I feel what you're saying. He definitely changes your defense. He's a young ascending player. Extremely rare that any of those types come available. But again, I try to live in reality. And the truth is the Packers have never made that kind of move. And they have certainly changed their fortunes throughout their history. And I'm talking from the last, 30 years since free agency became a thing, right? Reggie White, Julius Peppers, Charles Woodson, even of recent vintage, Xavier McKinney. Like, these are all game-changing players, blue chip, amazing, Hall of Fame level type players that they acquired in free agency. I can't fathom a world where Brian Gutekunst picks up the phone and goes, yep, take a bunch of premium picks, one of our really promising young defensive players, all for the right to pay $40 million a year for Micah Parsons. You're right. He would certainly help the defense and change really how you approach the Packers defense. Like, the offensive coordinators would have to come up with very different game plans. No question about it. I just don't see the Packers doing it. And that's not to say it could never happen. I mean, Nagler's never right, but I just don't have the headspace to live in a world where I just don't ever foresee that kind of thing happening. Legolas, what's going on, man? Thanks to the super chat. Need tickets to week 1, Ticket King or nothing, I guess. You think the Packers will start faster this year than in years prior? Jenkins at center, finally. Yeah, I do. I think they've started fast in the past, but of recent late vintage, they have been a bit sloppy out of the gate. Let's say that. And that's put them behind the 8 ball. Too many times they've come out and looked, stumbled to like a 3-5 or 2-6 even record. And that's just not going to work, right? Especially in a year where you're trying to take that step towards being at least back on the level where you're winning the division, right? Or competing for winning the division, which they never really did last year, mostly because they lost all but one of their divisional games. Yeah, I think you'll see a faster start this year. I'm not saying it's going to be perfect. I'm not saying it's going to be super clean, no drops or flags or anything like that, because mistakes happen. That's the nature of the game. But I do think they will be crisper out of the gate. That'll be my guess. Cheeto, thanks again, man. Outside of Cheesehead TV, the internet is useless. Nagler. I mean, essentially. I mean, what else is there? I mean, even streaming music. I mean, give me my records. Give me even my CDs. Streaming nonsense. Come on now. Soder, what's going on, man? Thanks for the super chat. Before we get too excited about the potential plethora of offensive personnel packages, can we just get Love under center more? Baby steps. Well, yes, but you would love him to be able to utilize all the tools in his arsenal after stepping out from under center and taking the snap and turning and play actioning and whirring his head around and seeing things develop. I love this idea. Come on now. To do what's that GIF? Why not both? Why not both? Brad, thanks for the super chat, man. I knew things were going to go sideways yesterday in pass rush drills. Cox bull rushed their tackle, knocked him on his ass, ran over the top of him. A fight broke out then. It was awesome. Well, I heard someone who was there on the sideline told me that sounded like Zach took exception to being put on the ground himself a couple of times. And the directive had been, don't take people to the ground. So I'm not sure exactly the ground zero genesis of it, but it sure felt like, yeah, it's the end of camp and guys have been hitting and now it's time to let off some steam more than anything else. Mike Witt, thanks again, man. Yes, ER2, can't wait. Who was your first favorite Packer growing up? Mine was Brian Noble, so underrated back in the day. Ooh, Brian Noble's a great choice. Lynn Dickey. Lynn Dickey was always my favorite when I was a kid. I mean, I used to pretend to be Lynn Dickey out in our front yard. I mean, I had a 12 jersey, the whole 9 yards. So, yeah, that's a very easy one. And look, I loved a lot of those guys from those teams that Didn't win a lot of games, but man, I had a lot of fun watching them. That's for damn sure. Um, what's going on, man? Nags, how about Lloyd's college career? Was he able to stay on the field? Such a bummer this guy can't stay healthy. Yeah, not anything out of the ordinary. I mean, it doesn't, you go back and you look at his college stuff and, there's nothing major, nothing kind of prolonged that I could see. And you talk to people, from that program, and it was never really a big issue. Just in a bad spot, bad luck at the moment. But the Packers will think long term, and that's why they always talk about these draft picks being long term investments, right? And in the life of his 4-year rookie deal, he's still at the start of year 2. There's still a ways to go with his career, especially in Green Bay. Marshall Duke, what's going on, man? Should there be cause for concern of the health of the wide receiver room? I mean, will your concern help? I don't think so. I just talked about it at the start of this stream. I mean, the Vikings are trading for 1 billion-year-old Adam Thielen because they have no wide receivers. The 49ers have no wide receivers. It's just that time of year, man. Some people get snake bit, some people don't, and it's how you deal with it. The Packers, they're not going to be insanely proactive and go trade for old guys. They're going to let their young guys who've been in camp and with them all offseason, do the work, and hopefully one of them rises to the fore if called upon. But we don't even know yet about how many of these guys are going to be up or down coming into week 1, right? Feels like Jaden Reed's progressing and going the right direction now that he's got the boot off, right? The Wicks is an interesting one because, man, that calf has kept him out for almost the majority of camp. So who knows? We'll see starting next week. But I don't think so. It doesn't feel like it. And there certainly hasn't been any reporting that any of this stuff is supposed to linger and last long term. But I think we'll start to get a better focus on it next week. It's a little too early yet still to say. Jim Wolf, what's going on, man? Thanks for checking out the stream on X. I talked about this a little bit at the start of the stream. Any updates on Banks? No, there are no updates on Banks, but you're right. It is not great to have your prized free agent unable to stay on the field. But again, that is not, because they spent a bunch of money, they should rush him back out on the field. It's just the opposite, right? You want him on balance throughout the year, especially heading into November and December. Don't do anything that's going to prolong the issue and make it worse and risk further injury. It's frustrating to not have him out there, but still don't know anything regarding the length and or severity of the injury. Again, next week, we'll start to probably get a better idea here. My suspicion is they're probably being overcautious because that's Green Bay and that's who they are. And he'll probably be starting week 1. That's my guess. But again, we should start to get more reporting around it and hopefully some knowledge from the team next week. Mike Witt, what's going on, man? Thanks for the super chat. Honest question, given the conservative nature of the front office, if Goot was our GM in 93, would they have signed Reggie? Oh, yeah. Again, yes. I mean, dude, Goot's had no issues signing people, spending money. The spending of the money is not the problem. It's the giving up of assets. That's just not what they do. But yeah, Goody would have done that. 100%. I mean, he's the best player, not only in the league, in both leagues back in the day. This is a start of free agency, and he changed everything in Green Bay. He changed the entire landscape of the Packers in the NFL. Yeah. There was no dollar amount that was going to be too high, regardless if it was Goody, Ron Wolf, whoever. Yeah, I don't doubt for a moment that signing still happens. All right, buddy. I got to get going. I got to thank you so much for hanging out, talking Packers each and every day, Monday through Friday, right here on the Cheesehead TV social channels. Please do me a monster favor and hit like on the video. Subscribe to the channel, and then tell your friends and tell your family. Cheesehead TV. We are devoted to Green Bay Packers fans worldwide. Again, Patreon members, Carry the G Club members, make sure you check out your respective pages tomorrow for the in-game Zoom hangout. I will be chatting here live with everybody after the game, so be on the lookout for that. And try to breathe and keep it in perspective. It's a preseason contest. It's lots of guys that are fighting for jobs, but the vast majority of them probably won't even be on a roster this fall. So just enjoy it for what it is. Don't get too crazy about it. But mostly, have a great weekend. Have a great time. Thank you so much. See you tomorrow. Go Pack Go.